Sounds almost too bizarre to be true, but it is. A pilot suddenly finds out that he's throwing a plane into a nosedive to avoid the planet Venus. Our Lisa Sylvester is joining us now with more on these alarming details. What happened here, Lisa?
Well, Wolf, this could have been a major disaster. The airline originally blamed severe turbulence, but now we know it was actually pilot error. The Air Canada flight was en route from Toronto to Zurich, Switzerland. It was about halfway across the Atlantic when this happened. The first officer requested what is called a controlled rest in the cockpit. That's a short nap during the flight, which is allowed. It's only supposed to last a maximum of 40 minutes. But the officer slept for about 75 minutes, clearly in a deep slumber. When he woke up, the captain mentioned there was a U.S. military plane in the vicinity. The first officer, disoriented, looks out and sees the planet Venus. He thinks it's the other plane and it's headed straight toward them. So he rams the control stick forward. The plane rapidly nosedives. The captain, realizing what has happened, pulls the plane back up. Passengers in the back who are sleeping at the time are suddenly woken by the shaking and being tossed around.
I was literally violently thrown out of my seat and slammed into the ceiling. I was in a window seat, and so I hit the top of the ceiling and fell back to the ground, and after that it was just kind of chaos. We had felt that we might have hit something. It was that violent of a push, I guess. It felt like we'd hit a mountain or another object. It wasn't turbulence. It didn't feel like turbulence. It didn't feel like free falling. It felt like we had hit something.
YouTube video shot afterward.
His laptop went flying that way. I hit the roof. Everyone is safe, but this is part of the damage.
Ceiling panels knocked down. In all, 14 passengers and 2 flight attendants had minor injuries. The airline initially blamed turbulence for the January 2011 flight, which ended up landing safely in Zurich. It was only after the release of the report by the Transportation Safety Board of Canada this week that we found out what really happened. Aviation expert and pilot Jim Tillman says it's clear certain policies weren't followed, but he sympathizes with the pilot.
If you've never seen Venus light up like that in a dark sky, you don't know. There's no frame of reference for you to realize that it looks just like the light on the front end of another airplane.
The Air Canada Pilots Association says transatlantic flights are among the most difficult for pilots because flights are overnight and they go against a person's natural body clock. On Air Canada, there are only 2 pilots on board, unlike American carriers where there are 2 pilots plus a relief pilot on board.
It's not so much the length of the flight. We do much longer flights than these ones. If they're much longer, then you would have 3 or sometimes 4 pilots. But these ones in particular, where you have only 2 pilots, and that time of day consideration comes into play, that really makes them, a risk for fatigue.
An Air Canada spokesman responded to this incident saying, quote, "We sincerely regret that some of our customers were injured, and we have taken measures to prevent a reoccurrence of this type of event and improve safety overall." So pretty frightening there, Wolf, for those passengers on board, but everyone was safe in the end, Wolf.